Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. I think I'm just looking at the numbers here and we've got 49 people. I was going to be happy with 10. So we're winning already and we haven't even started. Um, so yeah, we're going to talk about the Modern Classrooms project, myself and Rob. Rob's a former coworker of mine. I work at the Liaison American School in Switzerland, and Rob is living in Geneva at the moment. So we're both in Switzerland. It is 6:46 here, and I've been tuning in to on and off to some of the presentations already, and it's been very interesting and kind of getting us thinking, and we're hoping we can do the same today. So yeah, thank you guys for attending, and thank you to ASFM for hosting, and Veronica for helping us out. It's been a pretty smooth process for us, and the whole communication has been excellent. And this setup has been really simple for us, so that's nice. So yeah, like I said, I'm Tom Cosgrove. I'm formerly a math and science teacher, and I'm teaching design and technology and coding. I'm using the Modern Classrooms model in my classroom, so I'm going to talk a bit about that. And then Rob's going to give a bit more background on what the Modern Classrooms project is. Rob, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself, maybe?
Sure, yeah. My name is Rob Barnett. I am a former math teacher. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of the Modern Classrooms project. And so I'm thrilled to be here. And after Tom talks about what is the approach and how does it work, I'll be glad to talk to you about what does the organization do and what are free resources available to you.
If you have questions, of course, you can email us and contact us after this presentation, but we're hoping to leave about 10 minutes where you can either put a question in the chat or come on screen and join us and ask your questions about the project and how it works. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Liaison American School and our EDGE program, there's a link in this presentation that's also on the Live Curious website. So recently, actually, Rob asked me to write an article for the Next Generation Learning Challenges website. And I tried to connect it to my computer programming class and how I implement the Modern Classrooms model in my computer programming class. These are some of my students, actually, and one of our IT workers. And yeah, I'm just going to take you through the steps on how I do that. It's kind of like a live commentary on this article, but if you want to learn a bit more about it, you can do that there. So I was always trying to identify, or at least in this class, I'm trying to identify a way that I could make some change to put students in control. The problem I was having was that they were relying on me to do most of the work, and facilitating all of their learning was kind of my job. I wanted to pass some of the responsibility over to them, and the Modern Classrooms model was the way that I found a solution to that. So this is my goal, trying to give some ownership back to the students so that I'm not doing all of the work necessarily. And when I'm teaching coding, it's quite difficult at the screen or on the board to explain lines of code. And I found that this model was the best way to efficiently teach coding, but of course it can be applied in many different contexts. So there's three parts to this solution for me in the way that I was teaching my class. I wanted to make sure students had self-paced tutorial videos explaining the code and how it was working for them. I wanted them to be able to track their own progress, and I wanted them to showcase their skills and display that mastery that they had just learned. So these are the three parts, and I'll talk a bit more in detail about them. So for me, self-paced tutorial videos are the key to student learning in my classroom. I've got two components to this. I've used a hyperdoc model, and I actually listed that as my one best thing in the video for this conference. So the one best thing was hyperdocs for me, because it's a way for me to organize the internet kind of for kids and give them the resources that they need to learn the content that I'm teaching. So we were learning programming. The specific type of programming was called processing. And I made my own tutorial videos. You can see them kind of as hyperlinks here. And I provided them with a web resource as well if they wanted some more information. The videos were just using Screencastify. It was perfect for me in my coding class because students could see the lines of code. I could run it. I could show them what it does. I could change it, and they could see it kind of live. I was trying to also avoid the question of students, saying, I'm stuck, I need help, I can't figure it out. Of course that happened, but I wanted to limit it because I didn't want every student stuck at a particular stage. I wanted them to have at least tried it on their own and then come to me after they're like legitimately stuck. So I posted my screencasted videos on Edpuzzle, which is a video kind of sharing platform for teachers. It allows you to see if students have watched the whole video to the end instead of just posting a YouTube link. So I have a classroom on there and I can see each student's progress and whether they've completed lessons. Also, here you've got some questions embedded in the video, so I can watch to see if they've answered the questions correctly or not, and I can mark them correct. And yeah, I tried to keep my videos to the point. This one's 8 minutes. That's probably a little too long. I was trying to aim for about 5 to 7. Each of these lessons was a small piece of information that they needed to learn, maybe drawing lines or changing colors or things like that. And it really just helped them stay organized and focused on the task. And that's the first part of the solution, to hand the ownership over to the students through self-paced videos. The second part for me was having them track their progress. I just used some tape on my whiteboard. I wrote all the names on one side. At this moment, we were all doing the same project, but they could be doing different projects, and I could monitor their progress that way. So you can see here, this is really the value of the self-pacing, is that students are all at different stages, right? Most of them are on lesson 5 at this point in time when I took the picture, but some of them are working on the project, some of them are meeting with me, and at various stages through the whole process of learning this program, they were always at different stages. No one was ever at the same lesson. Even lesson 1, some students did it really quickly and they were already on to lesson 2. So it just shows the value of students going at their own pace, because we all know that we don't learn at the same speed. So this was pretty key for me, and a super simple way to keep it visual. Everyone can see, and they can say, oh, wow, I'm only on lesson 2 and someone else is on lesson 6. I better pick up the pace. The third part was showing off their skills to other teachers and students. So I invited, as like a final exam, I invited other teachers and students into the classroom to have my students teach them. So these are 2 students in my class, and they're showing a few adults in our school different bits of code that they had created in this class. So really an important way to show authentic skill development, I guess, or they're presenting their skills in an authentic way, I should say. And yeah, it was interesting to see the students like actually preparing for this. So they had thought, okay, what lesson could I teach them so that they can learn this easily? They were reviewing material, and I didn't ask them to review the material like you would in a regular class. If you have a test, students are doing a review before. They were just doing this on their own, which was really good to see. And then the last piece of the Modern Classrooms project that's new for me is the Distinguished Modern Classrooms Educator. Rob can probably touch on that a bit more, but I put an application together to show that I've taken this to kind of the next level in terms of interest and idea development. So if people are interested in the Modern Classrooms project, it's not just these kind of 3 steps for me. It's also this further professional development piece of being a distinguished Modern Classrooms educator. I'll pass it over to Rob to give you more information on how the Modern Classrooms project works, and we'll go from there. And Rob, just tell me when you want me to switch the slide.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tom, for that presentation. I think there have been educators like Tom, and the idea of self-paced learning goes back 100 years. In fact, if you think about the one-room schoolhouse, there's a lot of self-paced learning going on there. So this isn't a new idea, and there have been ambitious and tech-savvy teachers like Tom who have been thinking about how to incorporate technology in a strategic way for a long time. I and some colleagues were doing this together at a public high school in Washington, D.C., teaching in a similar way to Tom. And we started to realize there are a lot of teachers out there who think teaching like this is cool, but they don't know exactly how to get started. They don't know how to do it creating a video, creating a progress tracker. These are things that are not necessarily intuitive. So what we have done at the Modern Classrooms Project is try to create a model that will work for any teacher, anywhere, any school, any subject area. And in fact, we've seen approaches like Tom work in a lot of different places and contexts. At the same time, every one of you teaches a different subject, teaches different students, knows your students best. And so we want to create a model that's also flexible so that two modern classrooms in different schools, countries, side by side in the same building might look totally different, but have some common elements. The elements that Tom talked about is a blended instruction where you clone yourself in a way by creating your own videos, not using Khan Academy videos. I've found those can bore students to death, but you make your own videos. You bring your personality to the videos. It's not that hard. It's intimidating, but students will like it, right? They'll feel that personal connection that's essential to learning. Having some kind of self-paced structure. Tom's little whiteboard is so simple, but so powerful in that it gets students seeing their progress. And then to have some kind of mastery-based grading. It doesn't make a ton of sense for us to pass students along when they don't understand the fundamental skills. And so we're thinking about how can we help educators around the world use this model in their own way in their own classrooms. Next slide, Tom. I want to just show you a little bit some of the impacts that we've seen this have. This was a study of about 2,000 students in the Washington, D.C. area. This was in-person instruction in 2019, 2020. This model, by the way, is not for distance learning only. It was developed for in-person instruction, and it works in both, but we really see this as a way to infuse technology in a authentic human way into in-person instruction. So you see that Modern Classroom students, yeah, I'm sorry, I know it's a little small, but I think you have the slides. They can teach themselves new things. They're learning technology, which is essential. They feel more personal support and encouragement from teachers, which I think is interesting. The technology in the classroom is not replacing the teacher, but it's actually freeing the teacher up to give personal support. And they feel responsible for their own learning. These are classrooms just like Tom's. Tom, next slide, please. I think that where we saw a huge impact, this is 55 teachers. So, we're doing a much bigger study now, but teachers really with this model felt that they can help students who missed class catch up. This is going to be super important in coming back from COVID, that they can serve students at all levels of understanding, that they're teaching, this third one, that they're teaching their students effective study skills. If you're at the front of the room lecturing, it's hard to find time to teach study skills. If your students are self-pacing, that's basically all you're teaching, right? How to be a good student, how to study effectively. And then
Rob,
finally,
sorry, I was just going to jump in off that one because in my article, I mentioned a story of, I was on the Google Doc for my my HyperDoc, all my lessons on there, and I saw a student was on there, and I was like, oh, let's check if she's on Edpuzzle. And sure enough, she was watching a video in her own time. I hadn't set homework or anything. And she had just taken it upon herself with her own initiative to get it done. And to me, that was that piece of like the effective study skills part without actually formally saying, this is a way to learn, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, of course. And then last one, just teachers feeling like they can work with students in class. This is, to me, what education is all about, right? Working closely with students. Hard to do that when you're at the front of the board explaining. Easy to do that when they're watching your video. We see a real need for this in the wake of the pandemic, right? Because students are going to be coming back. I don't know where any of you are, what your schools are like, right? But students have been affected by the pandemic. And so when schools were closed, there are probably, the gaps between students only grew. And I don't know what the full social emotional effects were, but I think students are going to be longing for human connection, which I think this model facilitates. And so the goal that we see for teachers is really to create classrooms that meet every student's needs. Every student is different. One size does not fit all. You need to think about, as a teacher, how do you meet all those different needs? Next slide, Tom. So I'll just talk very quickly about what we offer. This will be the most important takeaway from me for this session is just learn.modernclassrooms.org. every single resource that we give to teach that we have ever created or used, we give away totally for free. We're a nonprofit organization. We have a free online course. It's all of our content. You know, go in, check it out. If you don't like it, then, you know, leave. You know, it's just, you know, we want this to be helpful for teachers who like it and teachers who, you know, we don't want to force this on anyone because this is good for some people and not good for others. So, you know, use as much of it as you'd like. If you would like more support, we have a network of expert mentors who teach all different, you know, free stuff all over the, or all different subjects all over the world. And so we, you know, if you pay to sign up for the virtual mentorship program, and you can ask your school to sponsor you, we have a school sponsorship form. You can be matched with someone like perhaps Tom. He's not a mentor yet. Maybe he will be. We would train him in, you know, how do you really support teachers in doing this? How do you coach them through? How do you give feedback on a video? What makes for a good video, and how do you give feedback on it? And then we also, if you just go to the next final slide. Oh, sorry. I'll just say this, that there are about 20. Yeah, next slide. I just forgot the order. There are about 20,000 there are about 20,000 teachers who have taken the free online course in all of these countries. At the moment, we just launched this Distinguished Modern Classroom Educator program. I saw a question about applications. You can apply anytime you like. If you apply in February, you'll have a, you know, we'll let you know if you got it by the end of March. You apply in March, we'll let you know by the end of April. So we just have kind of a rolling application system. We've just launched the program. We have about 150 maybe distinguished educators, mostly in the US, but we have some in Switzerland, the UK, Australia, India. So, you know, we think this can work in a lot of places. Final slide, Tom, and then I want to make sure I'm answering. We're both answering questions. If you think your school or district would be interested in signing up a cohort of teachers to learn this model together, you can go to our website. There's a partnerships page. We find this to be great. 10 teachers from you know, one school want to sign up together. They learn together. We have a custom online course for them. And then we just have a ton of stuff. We really, you know, our staff is mostly former teachers. We care about empowering teachers. We sell a product to keep the lights on, but really we want to give free things to, you know, to support teachers. And I hope that, I personally hope that next year at this conference or other conferences, one of you is giving the main presentation and I'm just following behind you to give a little more context. I really want to thank you for your attention, and we wanted to make sure we left time for questions, and our contact information is in the slideshow as well. I think I answered the question about application, and I'll put in here the link to learn more about the Distinguished Educators program if that's something that interests you.
So yeah, I think that's it from us. If you want to hop on and ask a question with your mic and your camera, that would be great. Or maybe Veronica, if you've seen some questions that have come up, I've got the chat here too, but I'm just scrolling.
Yes, here's one question. When is the next round of this Distinguished Educators for Modern Classrooms project?
Yes, you can apply anytime. We announce them, you know, right at the end of the month. So anyone who applies in February will have your application reviewed by the end of March. And, you know, we really believe in mastery. So some people don't make it the first time. That's learning, right? We will give feedback. We'll say your videos were a little long, or your progress tracker wasn't really clear. You know, you don't have one shot at it. You have, we want you to master, well, you know, the ideas that we have.
This looks great. I could see how teachers would have more time to individually help students and support them. Is this what you do each class though? And is there any full classroom interaction class bonding?
I can give the company line, and then Tom can tell you if it's true. For us, I think whole class instruction is extremely important, and valuable. And, we encourage that totally. I think when I was teaching, for me, the default was sort of this individualized way, but I might start a class, 20, 30 minutes with an activity together. I might say, one day, computers off, we're all going to work together. I might even say, next Friday, we're doing a no computer day. You should really be at lesson 5 by then, because then you're going to be able to participate in a more rich way. So absolutely, we encourage that sort of instruction.
Yeah, for me, when I know what each stage each student is at, if a student's behind, I can connect them with a student that's ahead to mentor them, to get them back up to speed. So the collaboration piece is good in that sense, that I can send students to each other to do that peer kind of learning. And like Rob said, I take days and starts of lessons where we do group stuff together. It's not all of this, but this is the main kind of chunk of the stuff that I do. It's kind of my structure for them to follow, so that they know where they're at and where they need to be. So yeah, that's maybe one way to answer the question.
I see a question from Paul just about teaching this way within a larger, more traditional context. This initiative was really born of teachers in DC public schools where we taught. A lot was kind of forced on us by the administration, and we didn't like that. We didn't like being told always, you have to do this. We wanted to trust our own judgment. And so we really look at this as a classroom level sort of thing, that we want to go to the teacher and empower the teacher within the classroom. I think we've found that often one teacher starts to do this and another teacher sees it and thinks it's cool, and then it's 3, and then it's 5, and maybe it becomes more of a school-wide initiative. There will be teachers who don't want to teach this way, and this is totally fine. We respect that. I know teachers who are incredible lecturers, and the class is glued to their every word, and they don't need to make videos. That is not me, so I need to make videos. But I think this can coexist in a school with lots of different models.
I was just going to add to, I think it was Beverly's question. I do this in my math class. I teach one course of math and I teach a coding class, but I don't necessarily use it in all subject areas, but it can fit in most, I think. Because she had asked about what do we do this with each class? So for me, I do it with most of my classes, but not all. I also teach design and technology, and it doesn't necessarily fit as well for me in that setting. And of course, lots of students actually prefer the, Mariana's asking a question about, is it always self-paced, or do we mix it up with teacher-guided lessons? So for me, the students that are like, I want you to explain it to me in person, I can pull them aside and have a small group discussion with 2 or 3 of them to give them that private lesson that they want, and the others can work at their own speed. Or of course, we can do class-led things at the front of the board, depending on where the vibe is with each day as it goes. So yeah, hopefully that answers Mariana's question.
I think we talk about blended. Blended can look a lot of different ways. I always think if your students are watching a screen the whole time, this is before COVID, you're missing out on something. That you can have a whole class lesson, you can have a mini lesson. With a progress tracker, I really liked it because I might see, okay, 5 students are on lesson 3. My class runs from 10 to 11. I say to the students, 10:15 to 10:30, I'm going to be giving a mini lesson on lesson 3. If it's helpful, come view it. If it's not, do your own thing. So there's a lot of flexibility, and I think, we get bored of doing the same thing all the time. Students get bored of doing the same thing all the time. The more creative you can be and trying different things, I think you have a solid base of blended self-paced mastery-based learning, and your students can always go home and learn, and that means in class you can have fun.
Yeah, and for me, it's another thing in my toolkit. If I notice students are struggling with the self-paced model in the particular unit, I might switch to a different strategy the next unit, more project-based or more teacher-led at the front of the board, and then move back to the self-paced model. Yeah, just another thing for us to have in our toolkit, I guess.
I'll just say one thing, which is people often ask us, am I doing the model right? And we don't like that question at all. If you're using something from us that's helping your students learn, you're doing it right. I mean, we do for the distinguished educator, we want to see certain criteria because we want this to be meaningful, but there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can go to our free course and take one little thing that helps you and we'll be thrilled. I really feel that it's not prescriptive or required, but we hope it's a collection of tools that helped me, I think has helped Tom, and I hope will help you.
Yeah, we'll just leave it for questions. We'll give you some time if you're still thinking, or if you have one last thing you want to jot down, or whatever. But yeah, thanks for the great questions so far.
Another thing I'll say, just maybe while people are thinking of questions, is it's very challenging. If you haven't recorded a video before, the first time you do it, it's going to take you 3 hours, and you're going to hate the result. And your students are going to say, "Why are we learning this way? Can't you just teach me? Why aren't you teaching?" They expect to sit there and be lectured to, at least students I've had. So it's hard. It's an adjustment. I've found that after a couple months, if you tell the students, "Okay, now I'm going to lecture," they say, "No, too boring. I want to fast forward. I want to rewind. I want to listen to, I want to listen to my music," because it's not all watching the video. There's watching the video, then there's usually some kind of practice. I want to just do my thing, sit with my friends, listen to the music. I know where I need to be. I know where I am. I'm good. I'll prove to you that I understand it. I mean, that's great for me.
Yeah, when I go back to the lecture, I notice everything is heightened for me. The kid that takes 3 minutes to get his pencil out, and everyone else has already written the title down. It's like, this is exactly why I go to a video as a way of presenting the information for them, because it's just impossible. It takes me 20 minutes to do what I can do in 5 minutes on a video. So for me, the efficiency is much better, and students have a lot more value from that, I think.
And you all have enough demands on your time that, we want to help you be efficient.
I just want to say thank you so much. I've taken the free course, and this is how I teach my 3rd grade students. Our team has divided up the subjects, so all of our students get to see all 5 teachers, which is really cool. We all have different styles, and it's not just one teacher blabbing away on the videos. The students get to see all the teachers. We've been 100% virtual since August, and it's just been such a life-changing model and a way for teaching, and it's just, I cannot recommend it enough. I just thank you for putting out all those free sources, and I can't wait to learn more and do more steps as well. So thank you.
I can't see who's speaking, but maybe it's you, Naomi. Can you just make sure you send us you contact us through our website, or send me an email so we can capture this. This, by the way, I love this. When I was doing this with my colleagues in DC, I was doing it for my math class, they were doing it for their history class. I love the idea of doing it as a team. It makes less work for the videos. It's fun for the students. I mean, this is exactly what we hope will happen, is that, people will take this and run with it their own ways.
Yeah, how many people are in the Facebook group, Rob? 3,300?
Yeah, almost 4,000 in our Facebook. Yeah, I'll put that link in here too, yeah.
So maybe by the end of this, there will be 3,351 people or whatever, hopefully. Yeah, that's a good resource too, because you just have lots of feedback from people constantly, self-generated, from the crowdsourced or whatever you want to call it.
I see your question, Mariana. This would be a great question to ask in the Facebook group, because I was a high school teacher, Tom a middle school teacher. There are elementary teachers. We have a fantastic kindergarten teacher. I will put in here the link to her example unit, which is on our website, just so you can sort of see how this looks. It's about it's about basic number facts. So you can try it. It might work for your students, it might not. But yeah, I mean, we have I don't think we imagined that kindergarten teachers would be teaching like this, but they are. They're the experts, not me, and they're rocking with it.
We got to go, Rob.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Tom and Robert, for sharing your experience and your knowledge with us today.